So we're here at Dewey Destin Seafood today. My name is Parker Destin. I'm a sixth generation Floridian. I'm a direct descendant of Leonard Destin, and we are here in Destin, Florida. And Leonard Destin actually was the first European settler to settle here at East Pass. And we're sitting in Destin, Florida at Dewey Destin Seafood, and about 50 yards to our north is his original home site at the City of Destin's Leonard Destin Park. And he actually was a New London whaler who left the Northeast in around the 1830s, and on his way down to Florida to find new fishing grounds, there were three ships. His brother was a captain, he was a captain, and his father was a captain. And around Merritt Island, Florida, a hurricane hit them in late September and wrecked all of the vessels, at which point Leonard was actually marooned on Merritt Island for several weeks. His father and brother sadly perished in the shipwreck, and eventually he was rescued, taken to Key West, at which point he eventually made his way back up to Destin, Florida, and settled at East Pass, which would eventually become Destin. So everything was by sail. It was the age of sail. So in the old days, it could take weeks to travel from New London, Connecticut to Key West, which was at the end of the peninsula of Florida. It could take at least another week, depending upon the winds and tacking, to get up the peninsula in here. So it could take weeks and months at a time at sea to make a large voyage. So boats in the old days were not anything like they are today, other than the fact that they both traveled on the water, but the materials were different and the means of propulsion were different. This was in Leonard's day. There was no steam propulsion, there were no propellers. It was all the age of sail. So it was all wind powered, and the way that the boats were manufactured were different. There was no fiberglass, there were no synthetic fibers, the sails were made out of cotton. The boats were wooden. You were constantly in a battle attempting to keep your boat from rotting from ship's worms, because worms love driftwood and they decompose it, but that's the same thing that they had to make boats out of in the age of sail. And it was a constant battle to keep your boats and vessels from sinking. It was a very, very hard time to be a mariner. Yeah, in Destin-Fort Walton Beach, we actually have the largest charter fishing fleet in the Northern Hemisphere. So, the East Pass, which is directly to our south, is actually the modern East Pass, and it is not the original East Pass that was here naturally. Natural East Pass is actually the Destin Harbor. So, the Destin Harbor used to empty out as a pass at the top of the harbor near Gulf Shore Drive, which most people didn't know about because it hasn't been around since about the 1920s. The modern pass was actually artificially created on accident around 1925. There was a series of hurricanes and tropical storms in succession that dumped so much fresh water in Choctawhatchee Bay and in the surrounding estuaries and Choctawhatchee River that the bay became so swollen with extra water that people's homes were being flooded that were here on the coast and close to the East Pass. And because the East Pass, naturally, the old one, was so shallow, it couldn't vent off the volume of water fast enough. So a group of locals took it upon themselves to try to create a safety valve or a vent to vent off more water. And in the center of what is now the modern day pass, they dug a small ditch and channel of about 3 foot wide to about 3 foot deep across what at that time was dry land. They came back about 48 hours later and realized that it had swollen to the size of a football field and was about 6 foot deep, and in doing so had created another pass.